Three most important things to know about your CV to get a job in Denmark. And as you know, apart from your networking being super important in Denmark, the CV is of course super, super important because it's one of the first things the recruiters actually look at. So I'm Diana Lund Nostrom and I help internationals uh, teach them how to job search in Denmark. So it's if you're an academic looking for a job in Denmark, reach out. You can find my LinkedIn and stuff, my booking on my site, on my channel. But today we're gonna look at the CV and what is super important about that. There's three things that are super important about your CV. The first thing is that remembering that the CV is, yes, it's about you, but it's about you in relation to the company. That means that standard CVs are a no-go. You need to adjust every CV to the specific company and the specific position you're applying with. I usually say that when you look at your search material, that the CV is about your past, but in relation to the company and the position you're applying for, and the cover letter is about the future within the company and the value you can bring in the company that you're applying with, and how you can do that with your expertise. So the first thing to know is really to focus on the company so that they find you interesting. You need to show them that you are the right candidate, right? And if you are interested in learning about the cover letter as well, then jump back to one of my previous lives. A few days ago, I did do one on cover letters as well. I do want to, by the way, say I'm sorry for the live yesterday about transferable skills. I realized that my microphone died halfway through. That really sucked. So there's like, I think a minute or something where there's just no sound. So I'm just talking and there's no sound. I hope the sound is there today. um, but I am going to redo that at another time when I have a bit more time. I'm going to do the transferable skills ones again, but for the one that's already up there, there are some valuable information that you can go while there's sound. And then just ask questions in the comments if it seems like I'm saying something in the part that's right now missing that you would like to know, and I will go in and answer it. So that was like both an apology, but also number one for the three things to focus on with your CV when you are applying for jobs in Denmark. That is focus on the company. Then the second one is to make it readable, make it skimmable, and make it short. I know that was two things, but we're going to keep that as like one thing. So basically, a CV in Denmark is usually 2 to 3 pages. We prefer two, but if you're like, then three. I am not a fan of one-page CVs for posted positions. The reason being that when you write a one-page CV, 99% of the time, you're going to leave out information that is relevant to the position you're applying for. So I would much rather make it a 2-page CV and then actually get all the relevant information in there. One-page CVs are good if you're like just sending it to somewhere where there's no position right now, you're just like making aware of yourself and your profile, then send a nice nice to look at like CV that's one page, but in general at least 2 pages is perfect. Maybe three if you're kind of like me and can't shut up even in writing, then 3 pages is also okay, but max 3 pages, unless we're at like a high managerial level with that you have lots and lots of experience, then a bit more can be okay as well. Hi Tama, nice to see you. So one thing was make it readable and another was the pages. When I say make it readable, the reason what I mean by that is that usually a recruiter has maybe 30 seconds for the first read through of your CV and cover letter, so your material. Hi Kitty. So when it is structured in a nice way, when it looks good, when it's easy to skim, it's they have more time to actually read what they don't have more time, but if it's easier for them to actually get the information we want them to get, right? So making it, for me, that means a one column CV. I know a lot of people, and this is a personal choice for me as well, I know a lot of people like and do two column CVs. For me, what that gives is, where do I then look? Like, do I look at that page, or that column, or that column? What do I need to read first? So it's kind of this, for me, in terms of readability, a one column CV works better. And then also having highlighting the words that are most relevant. So when you do, on the top, you do like a profile, small profile text, and in that, highlighting the words that are a mix between, and hopefully these are the same kind of words, but that are important to the position, but also important to who you are. So that's where the eye goes, right? So when we skim, especially if we do it fast, which a lot of recruiters will do because time, they'll go to those bolded out words or highlighted out words. I'll bold them, not highlight them, but bold them out so that they are drawing the eye when reading the text. And then, yes, some companies do use AI, do use like um, ATS, is that what it's called? I can never remember the right abbreviation for it, but basically AI to look through CVs. But we just had an analysis from Belisaya, a company, come out in Denmark, and from the people who answered that survey, or their survey, only about 3% of Danish companies use that. So, or use AI in the process. So don't overthink it. I would rather cater your CV to the human eye to make it readable, make it attractive to look at, so that it's interesting, right? So that was number 2. The last thing, and or not last thing, but I said 3 things in this video, right? So the last thing for this video is to remember that it's of course about you, but it's about you in relation to the company, kind of like I said with the first one. But that means that you need to show your results. So we always like results. So if you're in, and I know this is not possible in every job, but if you can in any way, then put on numbers. For example, I would say that if I were applying for a job as a career consultant with a company or a job center or whatever, I would say, I have experience with more than 1,200 one-to-one sessions with job seekers at an academic level, something like that. So I put a number on it because it's relatable. It's easier to kind of relate to numbers and results in that way, or a percentage, or whatever it is, right? So putting those results in there makes it easier to remember. Um, I already did give you a shout out. I said hello to you, Kitty. So basically, having, and by the way, I don't want you to subscribe if it's not relevant for you. I want the people who subscribe to my channel to be people that are relevant for my content, because otherwise it makes no sense for you to subscribe. It makes no sense for me to create content if it's not giving you value and relevance. So that's totally up to you if you want to subscribe or not. But when you're talking about you and showing your results, then the way to kind of get that CV to the next level is to also create the bridge between you, what you've done, and also what the company is looking for. So that can be as simple as saying, um, back to the example I had before. So I've had 1,200 plus one-to-one coaching sessions with job seekers in Denmark. I see that as super valuable in this position because I can take the experience from that directly into the job as a career consultant with you guys, where X blah blah blah. So I'm not having them have to think about how my experience relates. I'm showing them specifically how I think my experience relates to them and to their experience or to their need. I hope that makes sense, because the thing is that everyone has their own life experience. And we see the world through our own glasses, right? Whether you have glasses or not, but through our own lens. So that means that my background is one thing and the other person over here sees something else. I usually use the example that I have a business degree from the Copenhagen Business School. And it's like, okay, so if you have a business degree, why are you working as a career consultant? Oh, but I do that because when I did mine, especially internationals. So if I just say, well, I have a business degree from CBS and I'm looking for a job as a career consultant, it's like, how does that connect? Right. So if you instead are like, can build the bridge between what is it? Why is it relevant? My background, what is it that makes it relevant to where I am now and what I'm doing, what I want to do, why I'm applying for a job here, right? So when I then say, well, I have a master's degree from Copenhagen Business School where I studied branding and communication, my master thesis was about branding for internationals or expats who moved to Denmark and how that relates to whether they left again or how well they felt integrated into Denmark, the brand between that. Then all of a sudden, when I then apply for a job where I'm helping internationals with job search or with culture or with like feeling like they belong, all of a sudden there's a connection. And I can even take it further and say, well, and that got me interested in working with internationals in general. And then my career process since then led me into the job search sector. And now I have the opportunity to mix the two, both my experience and my passion. So that is why I'm applying for this job. I hope this makes sense because the point is that we want to take everything in our CV and try and make that relatable and try and show the company that based on our experience or our research, of course, and maybe you've spoken to the company before you applied, but showing them like through my glasses and hopefully also through yours, how do my experience and my background connect to what you need? Because that is when the value is there. That is when you become interesting. Because to be honest, your CV without um any like motivation towards the specific company is kind of boring for them. Like you don't matter to the company until you've shown them the value you can bring. In some cases, if you have a CV that is absolutely spot on in terms of your experience, then that might not matter. Um, because or it might matter. So then the whole like adjusting it is not as important because it's very easy for everyone to see the connection, right? But why not go that extra mile and like make sure that that's the case? And then one last thing for this. I know I said three things, but I'm going to give you one more thing because the thing that a lot of internationals don't do that can be super, super valuable in a Danish context when you're looking at a CV is to to add an about me section at the end. And what we like to have in that about me section is a bit more about you as a person. So who are you in your spare time? What do you do? Do you read books? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you go out and eat smørbrød? Or like, what is it that you do? That was a Danish thing, by the way. What is it that you do that's not super work related, but something that we can relate to as people? Because the thing is that in Denmark, we are not just hiring you based on skills, we are also hiring you based on who you are and how you match our team. Wow. So think about, you also want your personality to shine through a bit on your CV. That is super important as well. So I hope these three things, oh wow, make sense to you. If you have questions about this, I have another video where I go a bit more in depth. You can find on the channel. And then this is day whatever 11 of 30 days of live videos from me focused on career networking, job search in Denmark for internationals. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell you about the horrible question at interviews and also sometimes at networking events that is, oh, tell me about yourself. And I'm going to tell you about how to answer that question in a way that makes sense and what they're actually asking when they ask that question. Because, spoiler alert, they're not just asking you to tell them, like, oh, I have a dog and a cat and I live in the countryside and whatever. That's not what they're asking. So that is the theme for tomorrow. And again, as promised, the transferable skills one, I know there's audio missing in the middle of it. I will redo it when I have time. But that is it for today. If you watch the replay, have questions, write a comment, and I will jump in and answer as best I can. Now have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.